the practice of the Bodhisattva, study, contemplation, and practice. Yesterday, Kenpo, and Kenpo said, they asked me whether all the members should recite this as an offering. I said, there are too few, only 37 verses, let's not do it. These 37 verses, what is there to memorize? But you should still memorize them. I don't know yet when I'll test you. Yesterday I said no, but maybe today I'll say, let's recite. Those who are in the institute should be able to memorize the Bodhisattva's practice. Today, let's continue with a bit more the verses of the Madhyamakavatara from yesterday. You should remember them. Look at Geshe Changawa. He often kept the verses of the Madhyamakavatara by his side or recited them frequently. We should also recite them often to remind ourselves. Now, while living in favorable conditions and freedom, if we don't diligently practice when descending into the three lower realms later or falling into terrifying circumstances, how could we possibly save ourselves? It would be truly difficult then. We should keep this in mind. The Venerable Puchungwa also instructed after obtaining a precious human rebirth, if one dies without practicing virtue, it is like possessing a priceless, wish-fulfilling jewel, but losing it before making use of it. Truly, it speaks of the wish-fulfilling jewel. Just as Nagarjuna Bodhisattva said, if we obtain such a human body, but do not use it well, it is like losing a piece of gold. If we commit negative deeds, it is like exchanging this gold for poisonous food. Such is the analogy. If one spends life in wrongdoing, it is as if the wish-fulfilling jewel has been exchanged for a lump of poisoned food. If one does, so everyone will think this person is extremely ignorant. Exchanging a wish-fulfilling jewel for poisoned food, everyone would find it so foolish and ignorant. It is just like this. Truly, to commit evil after obtaining a human body is extremely regrettable. But many people act out of ignorance. Very few truly understand. Among over 7 billion people in the world, one does not know how many can discern cause and effect. You can think about it and see. Geshe Potwa also said, never waste this precious human life, so hard to obtain, yet so easily lost right now. Make it meaningful. To make it meaningful, frequently listen, contemplate, and practice, and make aspirations. No matter what you encounter in this life, when happy, everyone is a practitioner. But when facing setbacks, one reverts to being an ordinary person, just as mentioned earlier. So we must make full use of this opportunity. Geshe Karawa said, this precious human body, so difficult to obtain, having obtained it before it is lost, we should ensure it becomes eternally meaningful for virtuous actions, especially cultivating emptiness and bodhicitta and renunciation. The benefits last life after life, not just for one or two, nor merely for this brief lifetime. He also said, relying on the boat of this human life, relying on the great boat of human body to cross the ocean of samsara. Geshe Sharawa also said this. At this time, we have obtained a precious human body and have met qualified teachers and have encountered the Mahayana Dharma. Indeed, the precious Guru often said before, we have obtained precious human life now and met good teachers and the Mahayana Dharma. I often reflect myself, if I die and return again, if I obtain a human body, will I have such good teachers? Will I encounter such excellent Mahayana teachings? Because the world is vast and boundless, the world is infinite and without boundary, you might end up in some remote corner, even as an ant. Or sometimes when we look at the underwater world, it's truly densely packed. If we are reborn there, we wouldn't even hear the name of the three jewels. How pitiful. So since we have encountered especially spiritual teachers, perhaps in the future there will be fewer and fewer. This is a concern. It seems each generation declines from the previous one. Those masters we met at our age before, such as Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, Dujom Rinpoche, His Holiness Jigme Phunsto, including Nyingmapa, they were truly remarkable. So many great accomplished masters during that period, even though there were great changes in that era. At that time, we met many various wish-fulfilling jewels. But now, as for the future, in 10 or 20 years, I really don't know how it will be. Even now, though some good teachers remain, whether they can actually teach Dharma, if they teach but we don't understand, it's as if we haven't met a spiritual teacher at all. So when meeting such teachers, we must do our utmost to accumulate merit for future lives and lay a solid foundation for attaining the omniscient Buddhahood. This was said by Geshe Sharawa. These geshes were truly excellent practitioners. Moreover, Bodhisattva Togme Sangpo also gave such instructions. Now that we have obtained this precious human body, we should realize its value. He also said, "O wise ones, do not deceive yourselves. Study, contemplate, and practice all Dharma principles." Wise ones, it's best not to deceive yourself. Deceiving your guru, your Dharma friends, or yourself is not reasonable. You should study, contemplate, and practice the authentic teachings and realization. Practice subtle Dharma correctly, making this human life truly meaningful. He himself practiced in this way. This concludes the section on the rarity of human rebirth. Next, the second preliminary practice, abandoning the homeland, the source of the three poisons. This is how it is taught. Attachment to relatives is like boiling water. Hatred for enemies like blazing fire. The ignorant who forget karma, abandoning homeland, is Bodhisattva's practice. How do we explain this? When practicing, if you stay in your homeland, what faults can arise? Because of strong emotional ties, very devoted to your parents and like-minded relatives and friends will generate attachment strong enough to cast you into the current of samsara. This attachment is as turbulent as boiling water. If toward relatives, but nowadays some children don't really care much about their parents, and parents likewise may not care for their children. If you live in your hometown, perhaps this kind of attachment may not always arise. But for most worldly people, whether it's their parents or relatives or their own family members, they develop attachment. This attachment is like boiling water, very intense and difficult to restrain. And if one lives in their own hometown, conversely, when it comes to those enemies whom we harbor resentment against, there arises an anger so fierce it can burn up all our accumulated merit, like a raging wildfire of hatred. If one is in their hometown, resentment towards opposing side, recalling what they said to me, how they treated my family, how they treated my friends, the anger arises toward them is also as fierce as a wildfire. Moreover, our homeland can give rise to forgetfulness, causing us to lose our sense of proper conduct and virtue, and to lose mindfulness about abandoning negative actions. If staying in our hometown, it often happens, many Dharma friends, when they return to the city, spend their days watching TV, sometimes playing with their dogs, sometimes on their phone. Even ordained practitioners, when returning home, sometimes have families who are fairly supportive, who don't oppose them and just let them be. But at the same time, they may hold wrong views, saying, look, even after ordaining, he's still like this. Wherever he studies, he doesn't succeed. See, he's no different from us. The only difference is not having hair or a few other things. Other than that, it's the same. Lay people are actually very clever. When they see monastics acting improperly, they notice it sooner and more keenly than anyone else. Though they don't say it directly, just eat, it's fine, don't worry. But in their hearts, everyone understands. This also happens. So whether returning to one's hometown or not, there will still be attachment, anger, and ignorance. Ignorance, like layers of thick darkness, covers the mind. Therefore, one must resolutely abandon one's homeland, which is the source of endless faults. This is the conduct by which all bodhisattvas cut off attachment, anger, and delusion. A true bodhisattva stays far from their homeland, but after leaving, one shouldn't be making calls every day. Some old practitioners constantly ask, is he studying? How are his tuition fees now? Please, you must take good care of him. Why don't you check on him more often? How is my precious grandson? How is my family now? If you're attached like this every day, even if the body has left home, the mind is still there, especially nowadays. Great masters of the past had no phones or internet. There were none of these things, but now, even if one's body is in a secluded place, if your mind is still connected to them every day, basically it is the same as staying at home. It may be better to just stay at home. Everyone will feel you are still with them. Additionally, in Encouragement to Supreme Mind Sutra, which we learned last year, it states, as for those places of gossip and discord, it is best to stay 100 yojanas away. If there is contention in any place, it's best not to stay there. Leave by 100 yojanas. Last year we said it's over 600 kilometers, right? At the time we said about 600 kilometers, about as far as Chengdu. Wherever afflictions arise, do not stay even for a moment. Anywhere with afflictions, better not to stay. Whether institute or monastery, if you feel there is discord or affliction, it's best to keep a distance. It's better to just leave. If one lives in a place of 3 poisons where gossip and contention abound, such as homeland or similar places, even if it's not original home, but your second or third home, if these are harmful to your mind or practice, with daily arguments, afflictions, and conflicts, then you should leave such a place. Follow the example of the great masters of the past and go to a quiet place. Otherwise, your mind will be led by afflictions and true dharma cannot be accomplished. Therefore, you must abandon it. Especially to leave the household life. To become a monastic means that by leaving household life, one should truly renounce worldly affairs and avoid those aroused attachment, such as close relatives and all enemies who provoke anger, everything that is a cause of affliction. You must distance yourself from these. Then follow in the footsteps of the Buddha. In that sutra, it also says, why give rise to such idle chatter? You have no fields, no business to run. This mainly refers to monastics. Why do you become attached to such places? Why develop attachment and argue? You have no land, no business to manage. You have no wife or children, nor household or relatives, no servants, no weltsu after ordaining. Do not argue. Some monastics have no spouse or children, nor a real household or relatives, nor male or female servants or wealth. So what is there to argue about after ordaining? A true monastic should consider this. On one hand, being a monastic is truly noble, for they give up what others cannot, including emotional attachments to one's homeland and family, abandoning many attachments completely. This is very good. But after ordaining, if the body leaves home, but the mind does not, it can be quite unfortunate. So as a monastic, unlike worldly people, who often argue and gossip and are frequently attached, which is understandable because they have families, lives, and emotions, and all sorts of worldly entanglements, we understand. But as a monastic, if there is frequent jealousy between people, or frequent arguments or gossip between people, or an accumulation of wealth and such things, it is truly unreasonable. Therefore, the traditional Chinese monastics do indeed live a rather simple life with honesty and integrity. This kind of genuinely pure people, most monastics, though there are not many monastics in China, most monastics are very good, truly good people. As monastics, we should strive to be like this. This sutra is also very clear on this point. If monastics are just like lay people, constantly talking about worldly concerns, then there's not much point. Let's finish here for now.
Om Bandhangara Padmasada Om Bandhangara Padmasada